Good afternoon, you ruddy lovely people. Fabio Paratici returns to Tottenham. The Don, as many call him, is back, and he has been appointed as a director of football at the club. A director of football. Not the director of football, because Johan Lange isn't going anywhere. He's still a director of football, meaning Tottenham Hotspur have two directors of football. Not many clubs in the Premier League, not many clubs in Europe have this kind of arrangement, have two directors of football. And I'm not sure if this is a recipe for success or disaster. On paper, it makes perfect sense, right? What is Paratici good at? Finding those top quality, experienced players that will fit into our team from the top leagues in Europe, specifically Serie A. What does he struggle with? Using data to identify young talents, young hidden gems outside of the big leagues. That's Johan Lange's biggest strength. What does Johan Lange struggle with? Choosing the right players in the top leagues. So they complement each other. You know, they cover for each other's weaknesses. So on paper, it makes perfect sense. But they've both got the same level of authority by the sounds of it, in a position that I would say is the third most important at a big football club at the top level. I'd say chairman first, manager second, director of football third. Maybe not most important, most influential to how the club performs. Not the business, the club. Right, because that's what they're going to be working on, the football side of things. Not the NFL, not the F1, the football side of things, right? That's what they're going to be working on. What happens if they disagree? What happens if they're both sat there planning for January? Johan Lange says, okay, well, I want two young players, one experienced player. And Fabio Paratici says, well, no, I want two experienced players and one young player. And they can't disagree. What do? They go to Vinay as if he's the teacher to try and make a decision. And in the Vinay, if Vivian, if someone higher up makes a decision, chooses one over the other, if they disagree, the one who hasn't been chosen is going to be left very, very frustrated. And that is just going to cause problems to morale and how the football club performs in the future when it comes to the transfer market going down the line. And I just think if they start disagreeing on things, this could be a huge problem. If they don't, I think it'll work. I really, really do, because as I said earlier, they both complement each other. They cover for each other's weaknesses. And with them both agreeing, with them both working hard, with them both doing the best they can, we're going to bring in some top quality experienced players that are ready for the first team. We're going to have a very, very exciting choice of young players on our bench and in our reserves who we can grow into those first teams in the future. If they start disagreeing and then Vinay, Vivian, one of the owners, someone above them, chooses one over the other, that's where the problems really start, because that's where people are left frustrated. And then the next transfer window comes around. Let's say Paratici hasn't been chosen with the decision and Lange has. Paratici in the next transfer window, well, no, I didn't get the decision in January. Now we're going to buy more of my players. And then Lange starts to get frustrated. And I'm thinking, what other clubs in Europe have this kind of arrangement? You know, the first one that comes to mind, Chelsea. With the amount of money they're spending, the performance and results they're getting are down here compared to it. They really, really are. That's why their net spend's always ridiculous, because they're not making loads of that money back. And they have two directors of football. Now Tottenham have two directors of football. And as I say, on paper it makes perfect sense. But they start to disagree. It brings down morale, in my opinion. Down the line, it brings down the way that the football club perform. It really does. I think it's a very risky move. It's a ballsy move. And look, am I going to go on here and rant about it? No, because credit to Vinay, credit to Vivian, credit to Enoch. They're trying something different. The 100 million cash injection, two directors of football, you know, new people at board level. Charrington now as well, stepping in as chairman. It's a new way of doing things at a football club. It's a new structure. So only time will tell if it's successful or not. But for me, this decision, unlike many other decisions, if they go wrong, can be resolved very quickly. This one, it kind of feels like life or death over the next few years as to how we perform on the pitch as well, which will obviously be influenced by how we perform in the transfer market. And that's going to be down to these two. They start agreeing and working together well, it works brilliantly. They don't, got a big problem. For all we know, they could have been working together this summer just gone. We heard a lot about Paratici potentially being involved, but we didn't know it officially. So I'm going to judge them both together come January in the summer. And that's going to be the same with Vinay. That's going to be the same with Charrington. That's going to be, you know, the same with still Joe and Vivian. That's going to be the judgment time for these owners, for the directors of football, for the higher ups at the club. The next two transfer windows is when we'll find out if it's all smoke and mirrors, bit of a PR stunt, the whole Levy thing, or if things are actually properly changing at Spurs. Because we're hearing a lot of good stuff at the moment. We're yet to see it. We're yet to see it. And I'm not saying, we can see it because there's no transfer market. But in January next summer, if we see it 2 windows in a row, that will show consistency. If we do it next summer, that's 2 summer transfer windows in a row. That shows we are moving in the right direction. Consistency. It's not just a one-off. The window just gone wasn't an anomaly. But yeah, I think they both cover for each other's weaknesses, these 2 directors of football, but they start to disagree, considering they've both got the same level of authority. It could be a big problem. I would have put one above the other, because even if that person below feels pissed off, at least then you've got a bit of a hierarchy there. Whereas now when it comes to the directors of football, you haven't. It's one of the most important positions at a football club. So I think this will either work out brilliantly or horrifically. No in between. I don't see this working out good or bad. This will either end brilliantly or horrifically. Will be interesting to see. Guys, I'm going to make like a banana and split. Take care of yourselves. All the best. And as always and forever, come on, you Spurs.